Shaftesbury Town Council's planned community hall on the Maltings, the Mampitts hub, now has a £350,000 funding shortfall in the overall £1.4 million scheme. On Tuesday night, the Mampitts Advisory Committee of 4 town councillors and 3 residents backed the plans outlining how the hub would operate. There were some new ideas and one proved controversial. Consultants working on the project are suggesting that groups get charged to use the grassy area next to the hall. It was a meeting punctuated by challenges from the public, press and councillors not on the committee over the withholding of financial information, and the process followed to exclude residents from listening to the debate. Town Councillor Peter Yeo has consistently argued his rival Community Land Trust group, which wasn't chosen for the £920,000 in Section 106 money and the land by Dorset Council, could have delivered their hall scheme without additional cost to the ratepayer. The shortfall has gone down from £450,000 a few months ago, but Greg Williams conceded they have had bad news. The National Lottery, which had been considered the most likely funding source, has dramatically capped how much they can award.
We are disappointed that although the National Lottery advertises capital grants of up to £500,000, they are capping grant awards for capital at £100,000.
Greg had previously said he hoped they'd get most of the money they needed from the lottery.
We were relatively confident in that ability to secure £500,000.
Now, it seems Dorset Council has agreed how much it will pay the Town Council to use the building for its family hub. There's no detail publicly on what they're proposing. They already have a family hub on Wyncombe Lane next to the primary school. Whatever that sum is, it has reduced the shortfall. Greg's still got his fingers crossed the lottery will pay out.
A relatively high level of confidence that we'll be able to secure the 100k from the lottery.
So the sum required is...
Project Shortfall is now projecting at 250k.
But Peter Yeo interrupted to say Greg Williams was counting his chickens.
So what you really need is 350 because you haven't got anything from the lottery.
Even though Councillor Williams appears confident of getting that 100k, a consultant told the meeting they hadn't actually applied for it yet.
But as we sit here, no application has been formulated at the moment.
The clock's ticking now. We've been told several times this is now an immovable deadline. Dorset Council's already given the Town Council extensions to this scheme to release the entire £920,000 of Section 106 money that's not already been paid in stages. Work has to start by this summer. Officers down in Dorchester say spades need to be in the ground by the end of July. So that funding gap remains. The Town Council has had £25,000 from a different part of Dorset Council, and a consultant presented options. Further grant bodies and trusts could be approached, potentially crowdfunding. There could be a community appeal. Perhaps ratepayers could underwrite a loan through the government's Public Works Loans Board. That's a mechanism the Town Council used when they needed £500,000 to pay for the football club's all-weather pitch a few years ago. But with £350,000 still unaccounted for, Mampitts Advisory Committee member Paul Glennon says he's concerned.
I am, yes. This is an awful lot of money.
Let's go back to the exclusion of members of the public and the press. And for transparency, we have to tell you that Alfred formally objected to the exclusion at the start of the meeting. We said we understood why the quantity surveyor's detailed report shouldn't be presented in public. The committee chairman explains that could mean tender applicants would know how much money is available, so the ratepayer wouldn't get the best value from bids. But we shared our understanding that the correct reasons for barring the press and public from the discussion hadn't been documented in the paperwork correctly. We said an email from Greg Williams to Alfred explaining that Dorset Council didn't want their family hub arrangements in the public domain yet. Wasn't on the public record. It was a private email to us. It wasn't in the meeting agenda. Often councils give an indication of the reason for barring the public and press from a meeting in the paperwork, whether it's an issue involving staff or contracts or commercial sensitivity.
Dorset Council have required us to consider that in confidence.
Richard Thomas, who chairs the Town Council's Sustainable Advisory Committee, speaking as a resident, said Dorset Council's request for secrecy wasn't a valid reason for an exclusion.
If the embarrassment that Dorset Council might be suffering is because they've not bothered to tell anyone or discuss it with anyone from the family hub that they might be up for a move that they don't particularly know about or want to, that again is the wrong reason.
Councillor Yeo didn't want County Hall calling the shots.
And Dorset Council have absolutely no right to call for this to be in confidential session. They've got no right to tell Shaftesbury Town Council what to do.
Greg Williams said he'd follow Dorset Council's request.
It is a reason.
It isn't.
No, it's not. You don't have to accept it at all.
I have accepted it.
You don't have to. No, you do. No,
Well, you can, but they have to decide.
That. I've accepted as chair. It will be up to the members here tonight when we vote to go into confidential session and they accept that as a reason.
And also from the public benches, Town Councillor Lester Dibbin questioning the level of detail in that exclusion recommendation.
The recommendation should indicate, is it to do with a company? Is it to do with finances? It just blandly says that you're going to agree to go into confidential session.
Richard Thomas said making decisions behind closed doors wasn't in the spirit in which the Town Council should operate.
It is the default position of the Localism Act that all meetings should be open to the public, and the reasons when they are to be excluded, which has to be by a vote, is exceptional. Keeping things secret must outweigh the public good in revealing them, and I don't see any justification here.
The rules of the Mampitts Advisory Committee, its terms of reference, call for openness and transparency. Richard Thomas spoke directly to members of the public on the committee.
But I would appeal to the full members of the public who are here not to vote to let this advisory committee go into private session. It's quite wrong. It's a breach of all recognised practice in local government, in which more than ever the default position is to be open and transparent and accountable, and this is not the case tonight. It is most unusual for a committee of this level to go into private session. So please do not vote for it, and let's be open about something which everyone should know every detail of. It's public money. This is not a private company.
Interim Town Clerk Billy Maddox said it was acceptable to read the reasons for exclusion in the meeting rather than put them in the formal meeting paperwork ahead of time.
I have checked with other town councils and our previous agendas, and this wording has always been in the agenda.
So you've not taken any sound legal advice then?
Thank you.
There's a public question and answer session at the start of every Town Council meeting, but the answers stopped. Councillor Yeo wanted to know when the process to appoint a contractor would move to the next step.
When are you going out to tender, Chairman?
Peter repeated that question of the chairman several times.
It's a simple question. When are you going out to tender, Chairman?
Newly elected East Ward councillor Jenny Daltrey didn't appreciate that. She inquired about the procedure that would lead to a meeting vote to silence somebody perceived to be interrupting or interjecting.
Councillor Daltrey has proposed a motion to Ray.
And the Chairman is trying to stop the public asking a logical question for the record.
Thank you.
Why don't you just answer the question? When are you going out to tenders?
Councillor Daltrey, no person shall obstruct the
It's not obstructing the meeting when you ask a logical question, Mr. Chairman.
Offensive or improperly.
It's a proper question, thank you. When are you going out to tender?
Peter carried on regardless.
Councillor Williams, have you ever thought about standing down as a councillor?
Their conduct.
It would do Shaftesbury a big favour.
Would anybody like to second that motion to Ray? Thank you, Councillor Selkeld.
Another councillor with no integrity.
Peter Yeo,
Can you answer the question? When are you going out to tender, please?
Behave appropriately.
When are you going out to tender, please, Chairman?
I'm not going to keep taking interruptions.
It's a simple question.
Yet minutes later, the answer Peter sought about tender times was given clearly by the architect.
It will go to the full council for approval, I think, on the 10th, to go to tender on the 11th of March.
Which prompted another question from Peter later on.
Chair, how can you go to tender if you haven't got the money to do this project?
Some months ago, the Town Council opened a process where construction companies interested in building the scheme could put their names forward, and Billy Maddox said there had been some interest.
12-13 showing their interest.
Well, we know the shortfall's down to 350 grand, but what about the overall project costs? They had climbed from around £900,000 to, most recently, 1.4 million. The quantity surveyors looked at what's required to build the hub and landscape the open space, and Greg had suggested it had risen above that figure.
With the changes in the QS's estimate, and it won't surprise you that there has been some inflation, that has pushed up the position, the cost position.
At the start of the meeting, during the public session, Alfred formally asked the chairman, Greg Williams, to reveal the overall project cost. We said we didn't believe it would affect the tender for the building because there were many other factors unrelated to that contract feeding into the larger total. He said he'd answer our question at the end of the public session, but chose not to, although we tried to get answers for residents.
It's a simple question. I'm sure the press would like to know as well.
The press would like my question answered, if you wouldn't mind, Chairman.
Get on with the
Chairman, would you answer my question, please?
We're going to get on with the meeting.
Can you answer my question, please? You said you'd respond to my question, and you haven't answered it.
We're going to get on with the meeting.
Can someone else take over chairing this meeting, please? Please.
Can you tell me why you're not going to answer my question? Matt Ryan, another consultant working on the project, presented information about the operational finances. There were 3 scenarios: best, expected and worst. In the best case scenario, the hub would be in profit from year 1, £6,000 in the black, rising to 16 grand surplus in the 5th year. The expected scenario would mean losses that would have to be underwritten by the Shaftesbury ratepayer before a small surplus of a few £100s in the 5th year. Under the worst case scenario, 19 grand would be lost in the 1st year. There'd be losses of around 16 grand every year until the 5th year, with no break-even point in sight. Greg Williams said they could try to bring the break-even point forward, but that would mean putting up the hall fees.
Put the higher rates up too high, then we might deter use. So this is a bit of a balance that we have to get.
One income stream proposed by the consultant didn't seem to go down well, charging for the use of the green space by groups like fitness clubs.
Whilst we often use inside areas, say their preference in this course amongst us to do things outside of their classes.
Resident committee member Anne Glennon explained the idea.
It's not stopping people from accessing it or, having, a game of tag or playing rounders. What you're stopping someone doing is saying we're going to meet on a 10 o'clock every Tuesday morning to actually do fitness.
Interim Town Clerk Billy Maddock said they charge for spaces like Barton Hill and Castle Hill.
We do hire green spaces out to fitness groups.
Councillor Peter Yeo said the agreement to hand over the land and the funding commuted from Persimmon, the estate developer, precluded commercial use under the Section 106 agreement.
It is not for a commercial operation. How dare you charge for people to use the green open space? The S106 agreement says you are not allowed to do that.
Greg Williams asked the consultant whether he'd checked.
Did we check the S106 agreement?
Obviously not.
Councillor Connor Smith wasn't happy about charging for the grass.
I am a bit uncomfortable about the outdoor green area.
The same goes for Paul Glennon.
And the actual space, it was meant to be before all of the community.
Charging for use of the green needs further consideration.
It does require perhaps a little bit more research.
And Paul was told there wouldn't be charges for parking in the car park. Back to the objections raised at the start of the meeting. Alfred had claimed it wasn't right that reports the committee would vote on referred to finances and that members could read the numbers in a confidential appendix, but residents attending the meeting wouldn't have that knowledge. The chairman accepted that, and the course of the meeting had to change.
In the agenda, we have not stated that we intended to consider this item in confidential session. Therefore, we cannot take it into confidential session.
A debate on that is parked for now.
And we come back to this next week when we have the agenda properly formed.
So the vote, and the Mampitts Advisory Committee voted to tell the public and councillors not on the committee to leave. Anne Glennon abstained, her husband Paul objected, and after told Alfred why.
I don't think it's fair that the people are obstructive from viewing this. I think that it should be open to the people.
Town councillors who aren't on the MAC committee had to go. Councillor Lester Dibbin remained in the chamber for a while and wasn't happy about being asked to leave.
I will leave, Chairman, but you don't understand the process, I'm afraid.
Peter Yeo refused to go.
This should not be confidential session, and I've got every right to be here. What you're doing is all improper. It is disgusting.
So Chairman Greg Williams had to adjourn the meeting.
I propose a 5-minute adjournment.
I spoke with Peter in the corridor outside the chamber.
Where I and other councillors there tonight are elected representatives, and we're being told that we can't go back in there when they go into their confidential session, which I'm going back into in a moment.
It's going to be a Mexican standoff though, isn't it? You're going to be here all night.
Well, we'll see what happens.
We don't know what happened in the rest of the meeting, a confidential session, but the recommendations made by that committee that we saw in public, and whatever happened behind closed doors, will go to full council for their decision on the 10th of March. Part of that session might also be held in private, but all councillors will be given full access to the finances. And then we'll know what Dorset Council is planning as part of the hub, how much they're going to pay, how much the project will cost, and what the exposure to the Shaftesbury ratepayer will be if funding ambitions aren't